Hey, welcome back to D-Lab. This is part 2 of the cobbled Valiant adventure, okay? So in part 1, we got to see the cobbling, and I was able to undo some of that, okay? You saw a lot of butchered up wiring, filter caps, etc. All right, so where we left off is I had installed push-to-talk, and then I removed that diode board because I wanted to put it back to stock with the 3B28 tubes. Then there was a moment of confusion here at D-Lab. I measured the filament voltage going to those tubes. I saw 2.5 volts, and in my mind, I thought rectifier tubes all have 5-volt filaments, right? So I thought that was a problem, but it wasn't. So the 3B28s are in the Valiant, and I have the unit powered up. We're going to check it and see what else needs to be done, and in the end, hopefully, my Johnson still works. All right, so in this video, we're going to kind of tighten up all the loose ends on the Valiant. Okay, number one, I noticed that there's some switches, controls in the past that were changed, either missing brackets, hardware, or things are just loose. Okay, you need to take care of that. Then I noticed in the modulation section a couple French fried resistors go into the plates of the modulator tubes, a couple old crusty caps. Need to get those out of there so that the modulation current is stable. Okay. Third, I noticed on the crystal VFO select switch, there's some really shoddy work. Some crusty looking jumpers, cold solder connections, added components, etc. I need to get all that resolved, verified against the schematic, and then I think should be ready to go. And that item is the clipper pot. Watch while I try to turn it. She's just wobbling everywhere. It's because it is missing the screw and nut that hold this back bracket, and it's also missing the front panel nut. So I'm going to have to address that. But once again, we're not going to do anything until I verify that this Valiant is transmitting and modulating. All right, test time for the Valiant. I've had it warming up for a while. Don't see any smoke pouring out of it. It's a good sign. There is, like I say, this switch is kind of flaky. There is my grid. I'm going to go to plate. There's the old push to talk working. Got a good dip, a little over 100 watts. It's a good sign. Now, remember, there was those smoked resistors underneath, right? And they were going to the modulation transformer. I don't know why those are there. They've been added. But if it doesn't modulate, that's probably why. Here we go. Whoa. All right. Here's my static mod current. It's a little high. But we're talking. Okay, good deal. So next, we're going to change out the meter switch, and we're going to fix this loose hardware on the clipper pot. So here is a hanger queen, right? Pick this thing up. This guy was like super butcher, okay? He did all kinds of cool stuff. There wasn't much left in this Valiant worth saving. It had the Chernobyl effect in here. You can see that the phenolic is baked. But the good thing is that meter switch is stock. So I am going to pull that, and it's going to be a donor for the other Valiant. All right, there's the donor meter switch. It's in good shape. I'm going to go ahead and clean it, lube it, and get ready to install it in this other Valiant. I'm not going to kid you. It was not any fun getting this thing out. Normally, you'd want to pull the front panel to get her out of there because of this screw that goes through the chassis. It'll come out, but you got to give it a little bit of force. Well, there is the fine replacement switch. It's loose. Here is the new one. So I'm going to simply cut these wires and follow the color code on the stock switch. Well, hacked by the cobbler again. A lot of these wires are way too short to be able to hook back up to the switch, so I'm going to have to extend them. few of them will make it, like these guys hanging out here, but these 3 or 4 down this area, no way. So we'll extend them, but it'll be as good as new when I'm done. It looks like the new switch will line right up, and that little screw will go right through that hole. Hopefully I can get the nut underside. I know that the wire harness is right there in the way. Well, there is our replacement meter switch in place. It popped right in there. I had no difficulty, luckily. But the real challenge would be getting to this mounting screw. It's way down in there, buried underneath this switch. But I gotta get it on there because I'm not gonna allow it to be the way it was. Alright, I got a couple of the wires on the switch. Some I'm gonna have to extend, like this yellow one has to go over there. I'm following the schematic, so if you're doing this, you'll find there's 2 black wires. One of them though is grounded and it has a jumper. So you just find the grounded wire, and that is that black one, and this one will go over here. So it's a process of elimination. Alright, I've got the new meter select switch installed. So now the positions are correct on the Valiant. Let's give it a test, and then I need to move on to the modulation section. There's a few loose ends there. Alright, so let's test the new meter. Well, here's the test of our new meter select switch. There's my oscillator. There's my buffer. Grid. Everything looks good. Go to plate. Key her up. Modulation. Oh yeah, she's modulating. Looking good. So the donor switch did the job. This Valiant really tunes smooth. Alright, going to move on to the modulation section. Alright, now we're going to move into the modulation section. Somebody added this little terminal board, and it just accommodates the plate resistors that go to the 62146 modulators. So these 2 resistors are supposed to be 22 ohm, but you can see they're real crispy critters, right? We'll measure those in a second. Also, way up under there, kind of hard to see, I'm trying to get my light on it, there's a 10 microfarad cap going to the preamp tube. He's an old waxer. I want to get that out of there. All the other caps I can live with, and of course I've changed the main filter cap. So now let's measure these 2 resistors and see how close to 22 they really are. Alright, let's verify these crispy resistors. Remember, these are supposed to be 22 ohm. 87 on that guy. I got back here. 113 or so on that guy. Alright, so we're going to change those out. Yes, we are modulating, but those should be 22 ohm resistors. And then that cap up under there, I need to change with a new 10 microfarad electrolytic. Get those in place and we'll retest. So look what happened to the first resistor when I simply applied heat and it moved. So the other one, yep, right behind it. They're ready to fail. So I installed some new plate resistors for the modulators and got that little cap up there installed. Now you come down here on the oscillator select switch and clean up this mess. Alright, here we go. We're going to test the Valiant. I'm using a Kenwood R2000 as the receiver. I tried to use my National 173, but it didn't cooperate. Need to fix that. You know somebody that can do that? Alright, so we got the Valiant warmed up. Pretty much tuned up. There we are. I'm at 7.17 megahertz. Let's see what she sounds like. Kaboom, huh? Hello. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Hello. Man, she's crystal clear. Look at that modulation swing. Kaboom! Good deal. So guess what, Marcia? I think I finally fixed my Johnson.
Oh, joy! But what about the radio?
Let's see how it is.
I think you'd be better off with this.
I agree. You know, when you get to my age, sometimes you stop chasing other things and you collect other things, like rusty radios, sweetie pie.
Ha ha ha.
Ha ha. 73s from N6TLU.